Hi, my name is Charlie from It's Barbie Paris, and this is Sparkles and Sunsets, a Twilight podcast, a podcast that I have neglected for an entire month. It has been a wild month. I have not had the brain energy to put towards this project, but I'm feeling a little bit better. We're getting some more spoons. So let's just get right into it. We are on chapter 6, Scary Stories, and if you're familiar with Twilight, maybe you know what is coming. I highlighted this first part because I want to find or create, if it's not out there, but there's so many references to the books that Bella reads, which implies that she's incredibly intelligent. She's reading the third act of Macbeth at the beginning of this chapter. And I feel like Bella it's shown a little bit in the movies, but Bella's character as a whole is kind of very simplified from the Bella of the books. It's like Bella has a job in the books at some point. Does she have a job in the movies? Never. So what did Edward Cullen want yesterday? Jessica asked intrigued. I don't know, I answered truthfully. He never really got to the point. You looked kind of mad, she fished. Did I? I kept my expression blank. You know, I've never seen him sit with anyone but his family before. That was weird. Weird. I agreed. So her friends are still fixated on the lunchroom meetup the other day, and so that's kind of what we're following up here. Again, it's been a month. I apologize. The worst part about Friday was that even though I knew he wasn't going to be there, I still hoped. I couldn't keep from looking at his table where Rosalie, Alice, and Jasper sat talking, heads close together, and I couldn't stop the gloom that engulfed me as I realized I didn't know how long I would have to wait before I saw him again. Again, every time Bella goes to school, she's like, Ed boy, where are you? She pulls into the parking lot. Ed boy? She goes into the lunchroom. Ed boy's family. She goes to science class. Where is Ed boy? It's her favorite part of the day. And I get it, high school is extremely boring, and I too looked forward to my relationship companies in high school because you know what I mean? It's like, man, what are we gonna do today? Oh, same thing we did yesterday. It's I get it, if I'm trying to put myself in her shoes, but also it's girly, you are new to this school. There are so many people that are reaching out and would kill to be your friend, and you're like, Ed boy, where's Edward? In this chapter, Bella is taking a trip to La Push Beach, and Charlie's also very, very excited about it. And it seems from the beginning, it's that's what it's kind of sad. It's Charlie clearly wanted Bella to have a normal childhood, and it seems if we're looking at it from an adult perspective, in some ways that kind of was just, I don't want to say taken from her, but she didn't get to experience it in the way that she should have. And a lot of it is because she was a parentified child before she even got to Charlie. But, I can see where Charlie's coming from as well now as an adult. While Charlie's there, she decides it's time to ask about where Edward said that he was going to go camping. Dad, do you know a place that's called Goat Rocks or something like that? I think it's south of Mount Rainier, I asked casually. Yeah, why? I shrugged. Some kids were talking about camping there. It's not a very good place for camping, he sounded surprised. Too many bears. Most people go there during the hunting season. Oh, I murmured. Maybe I got the name wrong. And so she's now also just thinking about that, he's going camping where there's a bunch of bears? Okay. For how long is he going to be in the bear den? Because I want him at school. But why is he at the bear den? So she gets there, meets up with her friends, and meets up with Mike. And Mike says, we're just waiting for Lee and Samantha unless you invited someone. Obviously he's probing. He's unless? And she's nope. I lied lightly. Obviously she did invite Ed boy, but Ed boy said no. Hoping I wouldn't get caught in the lie, but I was also wishing that a miracle would occur and Edward would appear. Mike looks satisfied. Will you ride in my car? It's that or Lee's mom's minivan. Sure, he smiled blissfully. It was so easy to make Mike happy. I think it just bores her. Mike's just boring. He's a nice guy and nice enough to Bella and stuff, but I just think that Bella prefers like a little bit more. Like, I don't know, like Mike is just too boring for Bella. Bella wants something a little bit more interesting and a little bit more up to her speed. Again, like we've said, she's reading different like Shakespearean novels. I don't think that Mike is on that level. I keep wanting to call him Mike TV, like the one from the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But that's obviously not his name. It was only 15 miles to La Push from Forks, so it's incredibly close. I've been to beaches around La Push many times during my Forks summers, so Charlie's the mile-long crescent of First Beach was familiar to me. I love the beaches that are in that area of the United States, and there's just like beautiful crescents and different small islands formed, and it's cool. I live in Florida now, but I've visited like the Pacific Northwest. I think the Pacific Northwest is one of my favorite places on earth, and if one day like I ever was able to have like my own money and make it very big, and I don't know, I think I would go somewhere close. I really do. I have family up there. I think it would be a good place for me. And a lot of this chapter, I remember as a kid really enjoying it because it describes the scenery so beautifully and talks about the different animals and the different waves. And as a kid, I didn't see the ocean until I was 19 years old. And so like reading about like a beautiful ocean scene was like seeing like, I don't know, it felt magical. I really felt magical reading like books and chapters and things like that that were different from like my ordinary life, like a little bit of escapism. We picked our way down to the beach, Mike leading the way to a ring of driftwood logs that had obviously been used for parties like ours before. There was a full fire circle already in place, filled with black ashes. Eric and the boy I thought was named Ben gathered broken branches of driftwood from drier piles against the forest edge, and soon we had a teepee-shaped construction built atop the old cinders. Have you ever seen a driftwood fire? Mike asked me. I was sitting on the bone-colored benches. The other girls clustered, gossiping excitedly. On either side of me, Mike knelt by the fire, lighting one of the smaller sticks with a cigarette lighter. No, I said as he placed the blazing twig carefully against the teepee. You'll like this then. Watch the colors. He lit another small branch, laid it alongside the first, The flames started to lick up quickly up the dry wood. It's blue, I said in surprise. The salt does it. Pretty, isn't it? I actually visited during the 4th of July to the Pacific Northwest, and so there were so many different campfires, and like I can't confirm if it does that. Like I'm sure it does. That seems like a strange thing to put in a novel if it doesn't happen, but yeah, I don't know. It just reminds me of the little coastal town that we found ourselves staying in. And then we proceed through the book, more parts of the book that enchanted me as a young teen reading the book, and honestly enchanted me now. They talk about how she loves the tide pools. They had fascinated me ever since I was a child. They were one of the things I looked forward to when I come to Forks. On the other hand, I've also fallen in them a lot. Not a big deal when you're 7 with your dad, but it reminded me of Edward's request that I not fall in the ocean. Oh my gosh, we saw tide pools and I've never seen anything like it in my life. And I saw it both full and I saw it both with the receded shore, and oh my gosh, even thinking about it makes me really excited. And so when that was mentioned, when she was talking about the tide pools, I was like, yes, tide pool queen. I love tide pools. I don't know, do we have tide pools in Florida? I imagine somewhere. Have to look into that. But it was one of my favorite things I've ever seen in my entire life. At some point, a hike is proposed. A lot of the girls stay behind, but Bella decides that she wants to go on the hike. It's low tide, so there's like a small tidal river, and they're just enjoying their hike. And a small part of my mind wondered what Edward was doing right now and trying to imagine what he would say if he was here with me. So again, she's just like daydreaming about this boy who, again, she doesn't know that well, but that's what she's doing while she's on her walk. She's like, and what if Edward was here? And then she notices that somebody notices her, and the boy who noticed her was named Jacob. Was relaxing to sit with Angela. She was a restful kind of person to be around. They always describe Angela as so kind and nice, and I feel like we don't get a lot of Angela's character in the movies, but we do in the books. Here she describes him as the kind person to be around. She didn't feel the need to fill every silence with chatter. And that's me too. And I know I talked about this a little bit. I think Bella gives a lot of like autistic vibes. And I'm the same way. I would prefer the silence instead of like filling it with like needless things to say. Seems like both Angela and Bella feel like that. So here's an iconic scene. You're Isabella Swan, aren't you? It was like the first day of school all over again. Bella, I sighed. I'm Jacob Black. He held his hand out in a friendly gesture. You bought my dad's truck. Oh, I said, relieved, shaking his sleek hand. You're Billy's son. I probably should remember you. No, I'm the youngest of the family. You wouldn't remember my older sisters, which, pause here. In the movies, there's no talk of this. And so honestly, I forget so much of this. I feel like they do come in the story and like it helps push the storyline, but in the movies, Jacob doesn't have sisters, but he's the youngest of the family. He has Rachel and Rebecca that she recalls, and she asks if they're there. Jacob says no. Rachel got a scholarship to Washington State, and Rachel and Rebecca married a Samoan surfer, and she lives in Hawaii now. Married, wow, I was stunned. Twins were only a little over a year older than I was. Bella, I have some news for you, girl. It's like, I keep seeing this heavily discussed. It's like the entirety of like the Twilight universe takes place in like a year and a half. Let's not judge others for moving a little quick on the marriage, you know? Bella, it just might be you. I think the call is coming from inside the house. It just kind of, the rest of the chapter goes into everybody having discussions. Everybody's having a good time. They're like, how do you know each other? And they start kind of, Bella and Jacob again have some more side conversations, and she boldly asks about the Cullens, and this is where we get the Cullens don't come here, he said in a tone that closed the subject, ignoring her question. He said that the Cullens didn't come here, but his tone had implied something more, that they weren't allowed, that they were prohibited. His manner left a strange impression on me, and I tried to ignore it without success. Jacob interrupted my meditation. So is Forks driving you insane yet? So again, it's just like things happen a little bit differently in the books. They move along in the same general way, but there's a little bit of change and a little bit of difference. I think so far I prefer the book structure. I know a lot of people like to talk about Stephenie Meyer and Twilight just being like a horrible book and horrible, like, it's all bad or people don't like it or whatever, and I don't think that at all. I don't think it's written bad, and I think there's a lot of good that you could say about it, even if we're being critical. Jacob admits that he's 15, and Bella is surprised because she thought he's much older. He's very tall, and she's like, do you come to Forks very much? And he's like, not very much. When I get my car finished and my license, hopefully I can come hang out. I have some other friends. So that was Sam that said that. And so then later on, Bella goes to ask Jacob more, and asks again about the Cullens and what Sam said. And this is how Jacob replies. The Cullens, oh, they're not supposed to come onto the reservation. He looked away towards James Island as he confirmed what I thought I heard in Sam's voice. Why not? He glanced back at me, biting his lips. Oops, I'm not supposed to say anything about that. I won't tell anyone. I'm just curious. Looking allured. Then he lifted one eyebrow and his voice was even huskier than before. Do you like scary stories? He asked ominously. I love them. I enthused, making an effort to smolder at him. And so basically she just is like, hey, like, please tell me, what was that guy talking about? I think this guy has something weird going on, Jacob. Like, what is it? And Jacob in the book just spills all of it. Like, you know how Bella in the movies is like, I'm gonna go Google it. He's like, no, this is like what happened. It's based on Quaalude legend. Another legend claims that we descended from wolves and that the wolves are our brothers still, and it's against tribal law to kill them. And then there's stories about the cold ones. So again, instead of Google, Jacob's just letting all of this out. Stories of cold ones alongside the wolf legends, and some are more recent. According to legend, his own great-grandfather knew of some of them. He was the one who made the treaty that kept him off our land. And so that's Jacob talking about his family. She's like, werewolves have enemies? And he goes, only one. I stared at him earnestly, hoping to disguise my impatience as admirations. So it's like, Jacob says a lot without being like, hey, like, just so you know, that boy, that's a vampire boy. And we're werewolf boys, and so they can't come here because we don't get, the treaty. We don't get along, and we're not supposed to. They're not supposed to come here. There's always the risk for humans to be around the cold ones, even if they're civilized like this clan was. You never know when they might get too hungry to resist. He deliberately worked a thick edge of menace into his tone. What do you mean civilized? They claim they didn't hunt humans. They supposedly were somehow able to prey on animals instead. So again, Jacob's like spilling all the beans. And what are they? I finally asked. The cold ones. He smiled darkly. Blood drinkers, he replied in a chilling voice. Your people call them vampires. Again, spilling all the tea all at once. And Bella's like, okay. Anyway, and he's talking about, he's like, I'm gonna get my license. And she's like, come see me in Forks. We should hang out. I felt guilty when I said this because I knew that I used him. But I really did like Jacob. It was someone I could easily be friends with. And so she liked being friends with him, but she didn't really see him as anything more. But she kind of admits to playing up maybe how he felt about her in order to extract some more information about Edward and his family. So at this point, Bella has a lot of information to work with and work on, and we'll just have to see where she takes it. So the next chapter that we will be reviewing, Chapter 7, Nightmare. I am so excited to go through it with you guys. Thank you guys again for watching. We are at 26% through the book. And I'm going to continue to read and record and talk more about Twilight. I recently ordered the Glam Light Breaking Dawn Part 1 makeup collection, and I'm also going to be reviewing that here on my page for you guys. So I look forward to that soon. But I'm going to read. Did you guys notice that anyone that has like a Kindle, the Twilight cover changed? This one looks like the regular original cover from like my youth, but for a while it was like the new and updated kind of ugly covers. So a lot more excited to see this. This is new, like today. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed that chapter. I think it's structured better in the book. It kind of moves the story along faster. I don't know why we had to have it the way it was in the movie. It seems a little extra. And again, so far, I think I prefer how the events unfold within the book so far, at least for Twilight. So talk to you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you next time for another episode of Sparkles and Sunsets, a Twilight podcast where we dissect the different Twilight movies and books. Guys, next week or soon. I don't know. I say next week. I don't know. I don't know when more of these will come out. You could have another one tomorrow. We'll see. Talk to you later. Bye.